Okay, welcome back to Continue Freedom. If this is your first time here, welcome aboard. Be sure to like, subscribe, leave comments below. We're on X, Locals, Rumble, and YouTube. But if you're a returning guest, I truly want to thank you because you all are the ones that are helping grow this channel and helping me turn this into something really amazing, into a wonderful movement that is, or being at least being part of the movement to try to turn this country back into the right direction. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. Let's go ahead and talk about early voting. Early voting sees a massive turnout. 47% of the 2020 total electorate has already turned out to vote. So that's 74 million people have already cast their votes in the 2024 presidential election. This is from the Post Millennial, and it's representing nearly 47% of the total turnout seen in 2020. In key battleground states, early voting participation has been significant. Georgia has reported 4 million ballots cast, which is 80% of the total number of voters it saw in 2020. And I think this is a key component of all this, that we have got to come out, la-di-da-di everybody, even if you are in deep red territory, and cast your vote, because a true message to the political elites, the ones that we just don't like, the ones that we talk about all the time at the dinner table, and the ones that we see on our social media accounts, is for Donald Trump to win, if he wins, to win with the popular vote. And it's been a while since that's happened. Normally, when people are casting their vote and they win the Electoral College, but the popular vote falls behind. Hillary Clinton won the popular vote by like 1.5 million, 2 million, whatever it was, but Donald Trump still won the presidency. We need to really have our voice. We've got to say this loud and proud, that we don't like the direction that this country is going. We don't like the direction of this administration. And by coming out to vote, even if we are I'm in deep red territory, and there ain't no chance Donald Trump loses the area that I'm in. And yet I still went out to vote. Why? Because it is my civic duty. It is my honor. It is I love the fact that I can have my voice heard, and I can be one of the millions who cast their vote, and people are coming out in droves. It's really wild. So Election Day is just the end of voting now, noted Barry Burden, director of the Elections Research Center at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, per the Washington Post. We have many election days, and it's just the final day on which ballots can be cast. A lot of people say that they love this early voting, that it's convenient, that it's nice to be able to go out and cast a vote, but I'm still a believer in Election Day voting. Hey, if you got to go and stand in the line, you're going to go and stand in line. Early voting, the longer that window opens up, the more opportunity there is for fraud and that sort of stuff. And so I'm not a huge fan of it, but it is what it is. As we have more and more people, this country's growing, obviously, and we have hundreds of millions of people that will cast their vote now, apparently, in the 2024 election. Could be record turnout. But I'm still an Election Day guy. I'm still a paper ballot person. That's what we do. In the city that I'm in East Tennessee, in a small town in East Tennessee, and I went with a pen and I filled in Donald J. Trump for president. I filled in Diana Harshbarger as my representative. Being able to do that in person, in pen, nobody else touches my ballot. They print out an empty ballot and I put it into the machine to be counted. And they we saw in Pennsylvania, it was really wild. In Pennsylvania, they actually were telling people, hey, go ahead and fill them out here. We'll hand them out here so you don't have to wait in line. We don't want to inconvenience you. Well, just go ahead and fill it out now. Give it to me, and I'll make sure that it gets into the machine. Absolutely not. That's not the way this works. It used to be you would write the name of the person you wanted for president on a piece of paper, and you drop it in a bucket. And you made sure that vote got counted. But that's not the way that it is anymore. They've interjected people and technology in between us and our vote, and that has opened us up to a monstrous amount of fraud. And the fraud is real, everybody. It is very real. In Fulton County, as an example, this is a letter that was sent out by, let's check out her name here. Her name is Catherine Glenn, the registration manager for the Department of Registration and Elections. And she said to her staff, this was her guidance, FYI, there are no watchers approved for ballot drop-off. Do not let them in the building. If they want to if they want to observe from the parking lot, you can't stop that, but they are not allowed to sit in the building. These are poll watchers, people that are supposed to be watching the votes, the ballots coming in, making sure that there's nothing nefarious going on. And Catherine Glenn says, keep them out. Fulton County, by the way, is a place where we saw a ton of voter fraud, where we saw the people pulling the tough boxes full of votes out from underneath the tables and running it through the voting machines. And they're starting already saying, no, keep them out. Keep the people out. Don't let these pesky poll watchers come in here and impact what we're trying to get done, which is get Kamala Harris elected, I believe. Now, you might have seen, we can look at voting in general. Pennsylvania, I'm going to skip back to Pennsylvania real quick, but Pennsylvania is a place where overnight we saw the Polymarket change, and it was went to 51%, 49. It was somewhere around 60-40 in favor of Donald Trump. But overnight, we saw this shift, 51-49, and everybody's freaking out about it. Well, this is why I tend to like the Polymarkets, because they're kind of self-correcting. In a matter of 24 hours, it went back to favoring Donald Trump, 54-47, because people have money on the line, and so that lends itself to a bit of accuracy. But there were several large bets placed overnight, and the Polymarket immediately started to correct itself. So I tend to think that, when we look at the Polymarket, I can't help but think that it's going to be more accurate than the polling. That the suppression poll is a very real thing, and suppression polls are coming out already saying that it's closer than it should be, making people feel like Donald Trump is going to lose, making people feel like the Democrats have it in the bag, so maybe just folks won't show out in general. But the Polymarket still showed Donald Trump 54.1 to 46.1. And that's a big deal. And in Pennsylvania, as I say, it's gone 54-46. But it tells us, Georgia, you can see polls out there now that show Kamala Harris winning Georgia. But the Polymarket shows it 63-37 in favor of Donald Trump. At the end of the day, all that matters is that you go out and vote, no matter how you think. Like even I can't. I'm predicting some of this stuff. I'm looking at Polymarkets. I'm looking at polls. I'm looking at all the possible data, weighing the pros and cons, weighing the validity, where it's coming from, where that poll is coming from, and all that sort of stuff. Even I can't get everything right, and don't let anybody on the internet tell you that they can, because they can't. But we have to make our best informed decision, or our best informed assumption. But the assumption doesn't matter if everybody just goes out and votes. It doesn't matter. It'll all come out in the wash. It'll all be fleshed out of the system. So go show up and vote. But the poly shows Trump up by 63%, and I would love to see it 80%. That would be great. How about all the Republicans that live in Georgia come out and vote for him? And good gracious, it settles itself, right? Now, the polys are showing him losing in Michigan and losing Wisconsin, but even with that, with the fact that North Carolina is going 62-38 right now for Donald Trump, that's a positive. North Carolina is still, by many considered to be a swing state, but I think an interesting thing to see is a 92% chance in Florida of Donald Trump winning and 8% for Harris. This is, Florida is no longer a swing state. Florida is Trump country. It 100% is, and Trump is now favored 90-8 to win Florida by the polys, just by the Polymarkets. But you'll go out there and you'll see polls, and the polls say, oh, it's neck and neck in Florida, and Miami-Dade, this, that, and the other. Look, I think that one place that the poly might be off is in Virginia. I think there's I don't know if there's necessarily a fair chance he could win Virginia. I don't think he will, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than again, this is just the pros or cons, winning versus not. This doesn't necessarily mean that the vote is going to be this close. The vote could be very, very close, and yet Kamala Harris still wins, but they think the turnout is going to be, and people are betting on the turnout being high, very high in favor of Kamala Harris, and I think that's probably accurate. But I think that when we look at this and we see, 91%, look, the vote count's probably going to be a lot closer than people think. And it's going to be the same in Michigan and Wisconsin. And when the poly is showing us 59-41 in both of these places, the electoral count could be closer. And in fact, it could be flipped. So he could win Michigan. He could win Wisconsin. It's hard to tell at this point. But nonetheless, it's showing him winning now. Most of the polling I've seen is showing Donald Trump winning. the Atlas Intel poll, which I highlighted in my last video. It was the most accurate poll from 2020 and 2022, and it is showing Donald Trump winning right now, and they've been pretty dadgum accurate. But like I said, it came at Fulton County is trying it. Fulton County is saying that they are going to, keep people out. They're trying the voter suppression there. Donald Trump actually came out, and this is really wild. I'm going to try to find that video because I thought I had it pulled up, and apparently I didn't. But Donald Trump was at a rally actually today, and in that rally, he was saying that they found, here it is, that they found 2,600 votes. Let's see if this is going to play the X video player in Pennsylvania that were filled out by the same person, same handwriting.
They found, as I understand it,
and the audio cuts out here for just a second.
2,600 ballots, all done by the same hand. In other words, the same exact penmanship, the same hand, the same everything. It was all done by the same pen, the exact same pen.
Now, you might say 2,600, that's not really a lot. But it is when you're in a tight race like this. Like 2,600 is a really big deal. And states that were won by tens of thousands of votes, now you're talking about 2,600 being a huge chunk of that. And this is coming from his people, so I don't know who those people are, but he said it openly. Now, we've also seen voter interference, watch my last video. Scott Pressler, who is an amazing force with the Republican Party, getting people registered, has flipped certain counties. He's gotten enough people to come out and vote in Pennsylvania that he has flipped entire counties to be flipping them from blue to red. And what do they do in those counties where they know there's going to be historic voter turnout? Is that they say, well, we're just going to put one or two poll workers out there and make people stand in line. And I think I played the video, but there was a lady who, she had dinner reservations. She showed up at 3 o'clock, thought she would be able to vote. She waited for 3 hours just to hand over the paperwork to the poll workers, who then said it would take about an hour for them to process that paperwork and get it back to her so that she could then go cast her vote. So now they're saying, if you're in these new red districts in Pennsylvania, well, we're just going to make it to where you have to spend half a day to cast your vote. And they're hoping that people will leave. And in this instance, that woman did have to leave. She said, well, I'll have to come back on election day. And they're going to continue to do the same thing on election day, is make people wait in hopes that they will just give up and leave and say, I can't sit around here for 5 hours just to cast my vote. And they do it by limiting personnel. This is all voter interference. This is election interference through and through, 100%. So all we can do is we have to be patient in these contentious battleground states. Be honored that you live in a battleground state, is what I think. Be honored that you live in a place where your vote counts that much. Now, I don't like the fact that our elections are down to, a couple of states, really. Tennessee, I live in Tennessee. Tennessee is going to be solidly red. It's going to go, there's parts of it that are purple, but by and large, Tennessee is going to be a red state. Donald Trump's going to get, all the electoral votes from here. But there's places like Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, North Carolina, where they're going to try to pull some nefarious activities, whether it's them filling in ballots that all by the same person. We saw it in 2020. Come on, we did. We saw the people in Fulton County, Georgia, pulling tough boxes full of ballots out in the middle of the night. It's on camera, putting them through the machine, running them through really fast. Ballots that had never been folded, that were perfectly, pristine, clean ballots, not folded as they should be. And we're going to see it again here in 2024. But if we are too big to rig, if we come out and do our civic duty and vote, even if we have to wait in line for 4 hours, then we can really send a true message, a monstrous message to the political establishment. Now, Jamie Raskin, I played him yesterday. I think it was yesterday. Jamie Raskin came out and was saying that if, what they criticized Donald Trump in the 2020 election for saying, Mike Pence, don't certify the election. We've got all this illegal activity going on. We need to make sure before we certify this election that everything's on the board, on the up and up, that it's above board. And Mike Pence didn't. And for the past 4 years, we have heard the Democrat Party saying Donald Trump is undemocratic. Donald Trump is a fascist. He wouldn't even certify the election. Well, Jamie Raskin came out and said, if Donald Trump wins the election, we're not going to certify the election, first off. And second off, By the way, this is the point that I make all the time. Listen to what they say, look around and see which one of them is doing it, willing to do it, or attempting to do it, or planning to do it, whatever. And that it will line up 100% of the time. What they accuse Donald Trump of, they themselves are doing, planning to do, willing to do, hoping to do in some way, shape, form, or fashion. But this was him on Bill Maher, and he made 3 points that I'm going to highlight with you all.
So, and on that point, I'll tell you, the political scientists have told us the hallmark characteristics of a fascist political party. Number one, they don't accept the outcome of democratic elections that don't go their way.
Okay, as I just said, Jamie Raskin has already said that if Donald Trump wins the election, get ready for civil war conditions. We're not going to certify the election.
Right? Number two, they embrace political violence as an instrument for obtaining power. And three, they're not organized democratically. They're organized top down as a cult of a personality around a charismatic or allegedly charismatic figure, right?
Okay, an allegedly charismatic character. Can you think of something of a better descriptor for a allegedly charismatic leader other than Kamala Harris? I mean, come on, we've watched Kamala Harris. We've seen her videos, right? We've seen her rallies. She is not a charismatic leader, but they pitch her as a charismatic leader. Now, when he mentioned political violence, let's think about let's go to a deep blue area, right? Where the party of joy, this is the campaign of joy, right? Is what we see out of the Democrat Party, right? This is Kamala Harris's line. Well, let's go to a place where the campaign of joy is in full swing. This is Portland, and they're getting ready for Election Day. Now, pick me a red city, a red state, where people have to board up their businesses and get ready to endure the onslaught of the militant wing of the Democrat Party, i.e. Antifa and BLM, right? This is what happens in blue cities. Find me a red place where they have to worry about Trump supporters burning down the city, where they have to worry about Trump supporters looting. You will not find it. You won't find it. Not in this country. Not in this lifetime. Because we love our country, we aren't out to destroy our country. But in Portland, it's a different story. They're getting ready for a Donald Trump win, boarding up the businesses. My, oh my, and yet millions, tens of millions of people still come out and vote for that party, the party of destruction, the party that says, oh, Donald Trump's a fascist. Oh, really? Well, what are the hallmarks of fascism? Well, we talked to the political scientists, and the political scientists say that a supposedly charismatic leader, okay, Kamala Harris, with the potential of political violence, Antifa and BLM, and won't refuse and won't accept the outcome of an election. Jamie Raskin saying that they will not certify the election if Donald Trump wins. This is why it's the frustrations of the media narrative being flipped all the time. This is how we know that it's constant and perpetual lies, repeated over and over again against Donald Trump, when the actual party that is pushing this stuff is the party of the left, is the Democrat Party. Now, they will tell you, by the way, that our elections are free and fair, and that there's no issue with our elections. And well, here you go. This is from the 2020 election in Arizona. Listen to this.
As well, we're doing everything we can to ensure that non-citizens are not able to vote and that only U.S. citizens vote in our election. And it's working. There's no evidence that non-citizens are voting. If they were.
Well, Mr. LaRose, I'm going to let you follow up on the statement from Ms. Benson.
We found 135 this year that had voted. We found another 400 that were registered but hadn't yet voted. And this idea that it's already illegal. It's illegal to hijack airplanes, but we don't get rid of the TSA.
Oh, there's no evidence that it happened. And then the guy proceeds to go around and say, no, it actually did happen. Now listen to this guy. This guy gives some really amazing stats.
We discovered 10,000 people using the exact Social Security number. See if this one rings true. You take an illegal.
Arizona, by the way.
You bring them in. They sign a piece of paper promising to pay taxes. What they get is a Social Security number. So the employers can take out the taxes. Put a pin in that. Here's what they do. in cities like this, let's think of a chicken processor.
Talking about Tyson, I think.
They will bring in hundreds of illegals. They will spread them out across all of these plants and factories, giving them jobs. They're all using the same Social Security number. The IRS unconnected our names from the Social Security number. Now when you look it up, it just pings to see if there's an employer. If there is, it says it's good, it validates it. Why do they do that? Because all of these factories are giving them Social Security numbers. The government turns its back on it. As soon as you have a Social Security number and you go over to motor voter, pass the driver's test, right? You get a driver's license. The person looks, you got a social, you must be a citizen.
And then you can go vote. Amazing, amazing. And this is what we've learned from the 2020 election, that we know this has happened. And now there's tens of millions of new people in this country since 2020, over 10 million people. All who can, not all, but a lot of whom can get IDs. Or you have states, which all these states have started putting in no voter ID requirements. And as I played in my video yesterday, in California or in New York, they aren't even allowed to look at your license. The poll workers. The woman comes in. I showed this video. The woman comes in and says, I would like to vote. How do you spell your last name? Well, here's my ID. She hands it to her. She said, I can't even look at that. Then her signature, the one they had on file, didn't match up with the signature she provided. And she said, well, here, just look at the one on my ID so you can verify who I am. And she said, I can't look at it. Just sign this piece of paper, which essentially says, I pinky promise that this signature mix-up is okay. You just do the honor system sort of thing. And here, now you can vote. Imagine that with an illegal immigrant in the same circumstance this gentleman is talking about. It's really wild. It's really wild. And they're even with the military, right? This one was shocking to me. But the military, which is about 70% Republican, they denied or they didn't have enough absentee ballots for the active service members. They said, well, our stockpile of absentee ballots has been depleted. So we're going to have some not some veterans, but some active duty service members who just can't vote. Representatives from Florida, Michigan, and two from Florida and one from Michigan, Mast Huizinga, I don't know that name, and then Walls, Mike Walls, not Tim Walls, sent a letter to the Secretary of Defense citing their grave concerns over deficiencies in the DoD protocols for the U.S. military because they said that the absentee ballot stockpile had been depleted and had not been replenished. About 70% or more of the military votes the wrong way. So that's why they do this. This is why they do it. Now, again, we're part of I feel like I'm part of a movement that is really trying to get us back to the Constitution, back to the American dream, right? Which is the opportunity, at the very least, the opportunity for prosperity. And there's a lot of American citizens, tens of millions of them out there, who want the same thing. They want to have affordable gas. They want to have the ability to take their family on a vacation or to go out to dinner or just enjoy all the niceties that come with the blessing of being a U.S. citizen. And the Democrat Party, all their policy prescriptions take us in the opposite direction because the only way to institute all the things that they want to institute are authoritarianism and mass inflation and all the things that we've experienced for the past 4 years. Well, when it comes to folks running for office, sometimes I feel like the legal immigrants are some of the best people to come in and do that. There's the Representative Spots, I believe. I think she's Russian. And this woman loves this country. She loves America. And she goes hard in the paint against the Democrats. And there's a lady in Rhode Island. This was posted by RFK Jr. And her name is Lily Tang Williams. And she's running against, interestingly enough, Jake Sullivan's wife. And Jake Sullivan, who's the national security advisor, a well-known scumbag. If you watch him on a regular basis, he's just part of the political establishment. He and his wife are very, very rich people that got into politics, and she's kind of dovetailing, I think, off of his name and whatever. But nonetheless, she went up against a lady who's either a Chinese or Korean. I forget where she's from. I don't know a ton about her, but listen to how she just absolutely ran roughshod over Jake Sullivan's wife as they're running for a congressional seat in New Hampshire. This is awesome.
The politicians who don't understand that, they should go back to economics 101 schools to learn who caused high inflation. It's not the private sector. It's always the federal government who can print money.
We don't continue this disastrous tax policy.
Ms. Conway.
You are wealthy. You're worth $20 million to $30 million. How do you know about regular people suffering? Do you go shopping, go to Walmart, buy food? I talk to those people. And you pretend to be a renter in Nashua a few months ago, moved back to run for this open seat with millions of dollars from Washington, D.C. insiders. And the millions of dollars. I don't have money to run a TV ad. And you pretend you are poor, complain rent is so high. You couldn't save that apartment for other people to rent in Nashua. Just go back to your $2 million home in Portsmouth.
So she was saying she was pretending to be a renter, which is hilarious because she's worth $20 to $30 million between her and her husband. And they have a $2 million house and she pretended to be a renter in one place. And this lady's calling her out on it. Like, stop pretending to be a renter. Somebody else could be renting that house. Go move back to your $2 million mansion.
Please don't say that because you do not understand regular people's concern. People cry in my arms on this issue.
Is just so dead wrong. You know, early in my career, if I could finish, please. Early in my career, I worked for Senator John McCain to take on Vladimir Putin. I'm banned from Russia for life because of that work. And I believe deeply in the cause of freedom in Ukraine.
Ms. Tom Williams, 30 seconds.
You math cannot add up, okay? And I'm very good with math. Maybe that's stereotype for aging Americans. If you want to pay all the stuff you want to pay, then do your math. How are we going to pay for it? Show me the path. Borrow money from China or print money to drive up inflation. And you say Ukrainian flag everywhere in Nashua. I have not seen that many. As I said, if Democrats want to do this, billionaires want to do this, neocons want to do this, please do. Donate your money. So many people have died. It's time to bring peace and talk to the table. President Trump is talking about he will be for peace deals as soon as he gets elected. We cannot afford to engage in endless wars. And your husband, Jake Sullivan, National Security Advisor, is causing world on fire because he's incompetent. He should get fired.
So I can promise.
Unbelievable. Yes. You want to do this? You want to do that? You want to pay for all these things? How are you going to pay for it? Where's the money going to come from? Y'all can donate your money to do it if that's what you want to do. The rich people, the neocons, all that. Oh,
to Adam,
I love this
to
woman.
all of your viewers out there, that this is the spirit I will bring to this work.
Ms. Tom Williams, how do you alleviate some of that fear and anger that's out there in this country?
Well, when your former boss 6 months ago come out to call all Trump supporters are garbage, and that's like a half the country become garbage, that's not unifying and positive. And it's been going on for a while. Your boss is the most divisive president since I come to this country. Talk about white supremacy. I mean, you are white, lots of people are white, and talk about MAGA Republicans are threats to democracy. You know, all those rhetorics do not help. I like to talk about American dream, how happy I'm here, how much I love this country. I want to serve the people. That's something we should focus on.
We've hit time for closing.
Boom. I love this woman. I don't know much about her, but if I just gauging off of this short little bit, I'll do some more research on who she is. But man alive, some rich lady trying to be like relate to middle class people versus a woman who came here from another country, who loves this country and wants to serve the people of this country. Oh boy, give me Lily all day long. And that other woman, you know, the political establishment, that Jake Sullivan, his wife, she can go take a hike. Wow. If New Hampshire folks don't vote for that lady, there's something wrong. There's something bad wrong. She's awesome. Just from what I've gauged off of her, there could be some bad stuff out there. But if I had to pick between the two, a political insider or an immigrant who came here and who loves this country and wants to serve this country, give me that immigrant every time. And this is the difference, by the way, of the legal versus illegal immigrants. She came here through the process. It was a difficult process. She spent a ton of time, probably a ton of money, all just effort, constant effort to try to get here. When she came here, she had understood our civics. She understood our way of life. She is assimilated. She could speak English. She has a vested interest in this country because she had to put a lot of effort into getting here. Illegal immigrants who just walk across the border unvetted, We don't know who they are. They do not. There's no option for assimilation. There is no willingness to assimilate, and there's no one holding them accountable to assimilate. We don't understand their criminal backgrounds. We don't know their intent. We don't know if they work for the cartels or for the Chinese government. There's so many factors into illegal immigrants, and they just come here and take over apartment complexes, like in Aurora, Colorado. But that's why I love the ones who actually came here the right way, because look, they came here, they pursued, they did the effort, they made the effort to pursue the American dream. And so they're, and in a lot of cases, far more grateful, I think, than your average run-of-the-mill American citizen, to be honest. And speaking of which, if you want to look at Aurora, Colorado, and we'll talk about a little bit of government corruption, this is what's happening when you let illegal immigrants in to the country. And I'm going to play this video for you. You heard about the Tren de Aragua gang. By the way, sorry for the bloodshed that's over on here, but this is the guy that ran the apartment complex in Aurora, Colorado. The gangs came in, and this is what they did to that guy. Well, what would you think that the AG is doing after this whole incident, after this whole kerfuffle? Well, let's listen.
The owners of the troubled apartment complexes in Aurora that claimed their buildings had been taken over by Venezuelan gangs are now facing an investigation themselves. Thanks so much for joining us this evening. I'm Mark Salinger. Documents obtained by 9 News Investigate show the Colorado Attorney General's office has issued subpoenas to CBZ management over recent months. They're investigating potential violations of the state's safe housing laws that regulate housing conditions. The subpoena demands that the management company turn over documents related to how it screens tenants, its finances, how it handles maintenance requests, and how it promotes its apartments to potential residents.
Okay. So when Venezuelan criminal gangs come in, take over apartment complexes, extort people, beat up people, as we see in that photo that I showed you, what's the Colorado Attorney General's response? Well, let's just go after the business. Not the Tren de Aragua gang that's controlling the property, but let's go after the business itself. Now, I will admit, I will be open and say that if this place was doing what we're seeing in a lot of other places where, people are losing, citizens are losing their rental properties, and the landlords start renting out the houses by bed, right? So there's code that limits the number of people that can live in certain size places with certain number of beds and rooms and so on and so forth. So there's zoning requirements, there's residential requirements, what have you. And there are places where your average American citizen who's renting a place for $1,500 a month, they get booted out so that those landlords, those property owners can say, well, yeah, they're giving me $1,500 a month, but I can get $200 per bed, fill up rooms with bunk beds, and have 15 people living in that place when there should only be 5, and make a boatload more money. If they're doing that, fine. But they haven't even resolved the problem with the criminal Venezuelan gang taking over the property and beating up the property manager. They're extorting the guy. They beat him up. They threaten him. And they go after the apartment complex. They go after the property management. So this is obviously the criminal in this situation and the one that needs to be held to account. See how backwards this is? This is just wild. It's wild. Wow. There's so much crazy stuff going on. Now, look, I'm going to, I want to end on a positive note. I really do. And I'm not going to play the whole video, but I have to play you part of it. If y'all don't know who Tom McDonald is, this guy is just an amazingly talented artist. And he's famous because he's independent. He's obviously talented, but he's been an independent artist. He and his girlfriend, Nova Rockefeller, have released a new video I think it was just today, but perfect timing. I'm sure this was intentional. And it was all about the election. It was all about America saying goodbye to Joe Biden. I'm going to play a little bit of it because I think this is a positive message to end on. And, let's just listen to it. Just a little bit of it.
America is going rogue. The streets are full of fire and smoke. This ain't the way I thought it would be. The White House full of evil folks. Americans ain't free no more. They don't respect folks like you and me. The way way we're treated ain't been fair. Fake news on every TV. 4 years we've been in this nightmare while they killed American dreams. We can't afford our lives here. Rent, food, and gasoline. These colors don't run and I only warn you once. Buddy, don't tread on me. I won't forget the ones who died for our freedom, and I ain't gonna hand it back. No, no, no. If liberty and justice ain't enough to believe in, then get out of here and don't look back. Go, go, go. We love our home, and if you don't, pack your bags, you're free to go. Don't let the big door hit you where the good Lord split you. Wave goodbye to Joe. We love our land.
Wave goodbye to Joe.
Somebody will help you pack your bags. Don't let the big door hit you where the good Lord split you. Burn someone else's flag.
America is losing hope, divided by the way we vote. This ain't the way that this all should be. We're fighting over memes and jokes. They're burning flags that we hold close. They think that war's only overseas. The way we're painted ain't been fair. So what, you don't know me? You got something to say? Well, I'm right here. Thank God for the freedom of speech. You like to claim I don't care, cause I ain't gonna bend no knees.
These colors don't run and I only warn you once. Buddy, don't tread on me. I won't forget the ones who died for our freedom, and I ain't gonna hand it back.
Look, this is I'm going to let you all play the rest of it because I don't want to get a copyright strike. And I need you need to watch the rest of the video because Tom McDonald needs those views. He gets tens and tens of millions. But I find it just interesting that when people come here from other countries, he's coming from Canada, by the way. He's a Canadian guy. He comes here from Canada and he has this deep appreciation for America. He's not a conservative on every topic, but it's beautiful when you see somebody who appreciates what true freedom is, and they have this uncanny ability to see it when it's slipping away. I see it because I've studied history and I've studied our Constitution, and I've was a history major in college. I was in the military for 20 years, and I've paid attention to what's going on around me, at least for the past decade. I have been. I didn't for a while. But you realize that these little things that the federal government does that pull our freedoms away from us, that strip us of what makes us innately American. And it's horrific to see, but it takes creative folks sometimes to communicate it in a different way. And I have a great appreciation for it. Like I say, he's probably lefty on some stuff, but he understands the idea of America. He understands that at the end of the day, our vote is what really matters, and that we can change the course of this country at the ballot box. I've given you examples today, and many examples. I'll probably give you more as this week rolls on, of times when our vote has been stripped away, or when the evil actors that have infected our federal government are going to try to strip it away from us. But if we come out in large enough numbers, we can make a huge difference, and we can be a positive force in this country for change. And it takes the right people stepping up, whether it's an immigrant from another country running for Congress because they love this country and see it slipping away, or if it's from a Canadian musician who writes a song to inspire people to come out and vote. These are little snippets of politics today that it's going to take those strong folks to come out and absolutely make a difference. And it takes you just getting off the sofa, walking out to the polling station, and with all the nefarious people trying to block your vote, you wait in line, you stand, and you make your vote counted for the good of this country, for the good of your fellow citizens. And if it happens to go by the way of the left in a fair way, that's fine. We can vote to go further to the left than we already have. We can vote for more inflation. We can vote for, tens of millions more people coming across our southern border. That's fine. We can do that. I don't think it's wise, and it's my job to convince people otherwise. But I don't think that's where the American people actually want this country to go. And if we all come out in force, if we come out in numbers, cast our vote, it will be too big to rig. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, leave comments below, and I'll see you in the next video. And again, election night, come hang out with me and Braver Than the Rest. I'll see you guys in the next one. Love y'all.